welcome back to our Barron Spotlight, as today we introduce you to what we affectionately call here in Birmingham, the Magic Man. I'm sure he's heard that before. Nick Madrigal, welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Yep, thank you.
You owe me, and I guess we owe you about an hour of sleep, and we'll,
Yep,
we'll work
right.
on that later.
Yep.
Let's take you back to, let's go back in our time machine. First, I want to know more about Elk Grove, California. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I grew up there. Going to elementary school to middle school to high school, it seems like throughout my life we're always at a baseball field. There's a ton of fields around. Even just growing up watching the high school baseball, my older brother played, so I always bat boy for him, and there was always, it seemed like always talent in baseball around that area, and there's a number of people I went to and got scholarship offers and got drafted out of that area. I think it's right around 8 or 9 guys now that are playing professionally or in college somewhere. So it's definitely a hot spot for baseball in that area.
You had an interesting choice, and I still can't believe none of the Cal schools, including Cal itself, Cal Berkeley, but you wound up in Corvallis. You wound up at Oregon State. We better put this in now, Beaver Nation, because every time we post something about you, we hear from the Beaver Nation. Why Oregon State?
Yeah, growing up, I really never had a dream school. I never had my sights set when I was young. I wanted to go one place in particular. But going on campus, getting to see a series there and with my family and just kind of the whole atmosphere of it, I immediately fell in love with it. One of my close friends, Jake Rodriguez, he played there. He was a catcher there. He was from Elk Grove also. He went to my high school, and he was a couple years older, 4 years older, and he was someone I kind of looked up to growing up. My older brother played against him. He was one of the best players in the area. Everyone knew him. He kind of reached out to me when I was, making my decision, and I grew closer and closer to him over the years, and he told me how special of a place that was, and once he said that, I got up there and seen it for myself and seen how great of a place it was, and I can't imagine playing anywhere else after that.
Did Corvallis remind you of Elk Grove?
It had a little bit of a similar feel. Corvallis is a little bit smaller, so it seems like it's such a small town. They're involved in every sport it is, no matter if the team's doing well or not. I think that's pretty special. You go to a grocery store, you see black and orange. I had people after the first couple years there, they would congratulate me at the grocery store. Just people all involved in every sport it was, and I think that's pretty awesome.
Well, we're talking with Nick Madrigal, the Magic Man, here on our Barron's Spotlight. When freshman and sophomore years you're developing, you're winning, did you have a dream? Did you have any thought at all of being a national champion? Was that allowed?
Yeah, definitely. Even just before getting on campus, it was realistic to me, along with my family and just the people going in there. I was pretty disappointed after the first year, especially the second year, how close we came. But that was always the goal in my mind, especially with Coach Casey over there. He's a winner. You can definitely see it from the first day you step on campus. He's there to win it all, not just to get to playoffs or win the Pac-12. He wants to win it all, and that's something I also fell in love with. How passionate he is with his players, and some people looking from the outside might think he's a little bit too hard on the guys or things like that. But we love it as players, as competitors. But yeah, that was always a thought in my mind that I wanted to win it all, and for the last year to go out that way was pretty special.
I'm glad you mentioned that. A few years ago, we had Carson Fulmer, one of your White Sox minor league teammates, and Carson said the disappointment, what was really, really unique with him and Dansby, was they won the championship their sophomore year, and they lost it their junior year, and they could never have that back. All right, so now you got the dog pile, you got the championship celebration, you're number one, and the next step is the draft. So take me back to your draft room. Who's in that room? Where were you when you found out?
Yeah, it was actually during Super Regional. So we were in Corvallis. I had all my teammates there. My whole family came up for it. We were just in one of the back rooms with a bunch of TVs, and they were all there just kind of hanging around. But yeah, it was definitely, it was stressful a little bit. It's just one of those things that you kind of want to get it over with. It's something I've always dreamed about. Hearing the commissioner say my name on stage, and hoped one day it would happen. And then once it happened, I mean, it was awesome. My family was excited. My teammates. It meant a lot to have all my teammates there. Every one of them was there, and they didn't have to be there, but for them to show the support they did just meant a lot. And once it happened, the next day, I think it was 2 days after, we had another super regional game. And honestly, I kind of set my sights right back on the team. I enjoyed it that night, but I was there for something bigger than, just myself, and that was to win a national championship.
Did you have your own projection? I know that's a tough question. Was it, I want to go, I have to go first round, I want to go top 10? Where did you fit in there?
Over the years in high school, I had a chance. I got drafted out of high school.
Right.
I always believed that, I had a lot of friends going in the first couple rounds, and, I seen that in high school. I felt a little bit, not snubbed, but just kind of a little bit disappointed because I knew that I was, one of those players, and teams didn't see it that way out of high school. I had some chances early on in the draft, but not first round at all. And there's something I always believed, I could be one of those guys. I knew I was one of those guys, and once over the number of years in college, I felt like I was a first round talent. I felt like hopefully one of these teams sees me that way, and fortunate enough to the White Sox seeing me that way, and it all worked out.
So whether anyone projected you or media had you or any publication said, here's where he's going to go, you said to yourself, I know I got the confidence that I'll be good and I'll fit in. All right, you were 4th overall. I want to know the exact moment when the commissioner said, and the White Sox choose, did you know it? Did you know it, Nick? Did you know he pronounced your name?
Yeah, no, I actually got a phone call from my agent right before, and they said that. Yeah, it was a call. Honestly, I'd like to say it was right before it built up, but I got a phone call. They said that they were going to select me, and I was sitting next to one of my best friends, Trevor Larnick, because he got drafted high also, so we were there together on camera, and once I heard it in my earpiece, he was excited for me, and my heart kind of dropped for a second. It was just awesome.
That's awesome. All right, you have had this ability to either lighten up a locker room, lighten up a room, or lighten up a field. There's something innate about you, and I think our fans have to look and watch him. The first time you see him, you're not really sure, but inside, the respect and what you do internally to bring everybody up. Was that from your family, from your dad? Was that your brother pushing you? Where did that come from? I was there the second you walked into the Barons locker room, and everyone was like, Nick's here.
I don't know. I'm very blessed to, I would say a lot of credit goes to my family. I mean, they've raised me and my brothers, the right way. Looking back, I always didn't agree with their decisions. Sometimes I'd be mad if I wanted to do something, but, looking back on it, it was always the right decision. I told my mom that the other day. I thanked her for everything she's done for me. Like I said, even if I didn't agree, it was always the right decision. My dad, my stepdad has been a big part of my life. They've always been there for me.
They were also there for the Futures game.
Yeah, they were. Yep, they all made it there. So, it was, to share that moment with them was awesome. Growing up with my brothers, we definitely joked around. We always kept it light, whether it's playing basketball in the backyard or anything like that. I definitely owe a lot of credit to my family.
All right, I want to talk baseball instincts in general. I talked to your hitting instructor here, Charlie Poe, about a flat bat. And you had a kind of a different view. When we talk about flat bat, when Nick's ready, now he'll start here, but loading right around here. So the bat's resting just about on the tip of his shoulder blade.
Right.
I thought that was for contact. I thought that was to hit line drives. But you said not necessarily. Explain it.
Especially in today's game, a lot of people focus on, staying through the zone, having a flat bat like you're saying. And I think that is a big part of it. I think that it's something that's come natural to me. I've worked on it. Over the years, my hands were a little bit higher in high school, and then in college I started bringing them down, and I think they're the lowest they've ever been. But like you're saying, it definitely helps me keep in the zone, hit more pitches, more contact. But it's not something I have him there just to make contact. Hopefully I can drive the ball from there. I think at some point every swing looks or should look pretty similar. No matter how you get there, at some point at contact or before contact, it's going to be pretty similar. But yeah, like I said, I think it's just kind of come natural to keep the flat bat. But yeah, it's something I've worked on.
Let's talk about this. As well as you have played this year, not just with the Barons, but with Winston-Salem, earning, not being given this trip to the Futures game, but earning it. Where does Nick Madrigal need to improve?
I think there's always, spots you can improve on.
Such as?
I've really tried to, my zone recognition, hitting more pitches in the zone rather than chasing. I feel a lot better than that this year. Last year, a lot of people put some emphasis on how I didn't strike out a lot, but I feel like I was making weaker contact, kind of off-balance contact, whereas now, the strikeouts aren't up, but I'm scoring more balls up and putting better swings on it and laying off pitches down. So that's something I've always tried to improve on. I think if someone were to say, I don't need to improve on anything, I think it kind of hurts them a little bit, because I think if you're not trying to get better each and every day, you're kind of just staying the same. And, someone always told me, if you're not getting better, people around you are getting better. So that's something I've always had, in the back of my mind, and, tried to keep working.
All right, let's talk about the White Sox in general. It's a young, up-and-coming organization in a sense. They had to hit the rewind button, the reset, which they've done, and now you are part of that. You're going to have to be a leader. We talked about that again, some of the stuff in the locker room. Isn't it an exciting time? I see you have, with Gavin over to what would be your left, Gavin Sheets to your left, you and Luis Robert bonded a lot. There's Eloy that you know and has played with. It's got to be, in the future now, when you look out a little bit, it's got to be a little fun knowing what's out there.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. To see all the pieces at every level, not just this level or AAA, but even low A and high A. I mean, there's a lot of arms and position players, and you could see exciting times coming in the near future. And I'm excited to be a part of it. I know, the bosses and people higher up than me have to be excited also. And even this year, you're watching the White Sox early on, you could see glimpses of winning games and exciting times. Even watching Eloy up there and Robert, what he's doing, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Back to the baseball, back to the Barons, and back to what's happened to you recently. Nick Madrigal, our guest here on the Barons Spotlight. I've been talking about this. You're now with Luis going up to AAA. You're back in the one hole, at least for a couple of days. I am not Rick Hahn. I'm not Chris Getz, nor do I pretend to be.
Right.
But I think you project as the ideal number 2 guy. What is the difference? And have you been told, is this going to, am I going to look at your name at the top of the lineup for the rest of the season?
From what I've heard, I think I'm going to bounce back and forth between the 1 and 2 hole. I think it just depends who we have that day, or, the matchups or things like that. But honestly, it's really not that big of a difference to me. I know in the leadoff hole, it's just that first at bat is kind of different. Leading off the game, maybe sometimes you want to work the count or just see what the pitcher has that day, if he's going to throw strikes. But I mean, throughout the game, you might hit second in the inning, you might hit third. It all just depends on the people in front of you and behind you. But I've done it my whole life. I've hit 1 and 2 my whole life, so it's really not that big of a difference to me at all.
I got to ask you about Tim Anderson, who's from this area and had an incredible year with the Birmingham Barons a couple of years ago, and now he has become the leader on and off the field.
Right.
But you play second, he plays short. Right now, how much have you worked with Tim? Did you get any reps in during spring training?
I did, yes.
That fun?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Even connecting with him, outside the field and just in the clubhouse and kind of talking to him, and I feel like we got some time together, and it was awesome kind of picking his brain and what he thought about different things. But yeah, it's definitely special what he's doing on the field, even off the field in the community. He's someone I want to kind of learn from, and I want to be a big part of the community also. So that's a lot of things I talked about with him, and I think he's a great face for the White Sox, and what he's doing is just great.
All right, almost got to the end of this. Almost got to the end. We have not talked about your height. how many, and you've been for the last 3 years, go to college, maybe that, how many interviews have you ever done where somebody didn't bring up your height?
Yeah.
And this is another one. It got brought up, so to get this one up. But
yeah.
You ever done one where someone doesn't talk about
You know, I think I could probably count on one hand, probably not less than 1 or 2 times that I've done a lot of interviews in my life, and it seems like someone that hasn't mentioned it, it's been within 1 or 2 times. So it seems like every time they mention it somehow. And
you know what they do when they don't mention it on air? After you leave, they go, I can't believe
yeah, exactly. You know, you're right. You're right. I know that's there, but I know it's part of it. I'm probably going to get that throughout my life. So, you know, it doesn't bother me too much.
Nick Madrigal, you have handled yourself as a tremendous professional. You've got some good teaching, good family behind you. We wish you the absolute best of luck. Thanks a lot for joining us, man.
Thank you very much.
All right, the Magic Man, Nick Madrigal, joining us here on our Barron Spotlight. Now, you can catch this interview and all of our interviews. Just go to barrons.com.